Welcome, everyone, to this week's Elemental Evolution. So, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been live, and I'm actually feeling fabulous today. So, although my voice is not 100% back, I'll try not to put too much strain on it, and I'll try not to use too much vocabulary that, shocks everyone's ears. Anyway, I've been working on that, Stephen. Did you notice?
Yes, I did.
I've been good at it. Anyway, today it may not happen. Today I may be cussing up a storm because we're going to be talking about subjects that I'm passionate about. Things that I feel are not just important to each individual, but as a whole in society, I think that people have to take a look at things from a different direction and maybe start opening up some different perspectives so that we can advance forward, so that we can take advantage of what seems to be chaos. It really could turn out to be a fabulous thing. And so joining me today is Daniel Lewis Crumpton, Downloaded Content. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Sherri. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. I just launched my podcast this past week, getting really good feedback from it. So I'm really hyped up. A little physically tired because I've been up at the keyboard for like 4 days straight, making sure everything was going off without a hitch, but I feel really good.
It's fabulous. And I think that a lot of people are going to get, again, a little more understanding of the direction that we're trying to take society. That seems a little extreme, but do you think that that's true?
Man, I certainly hope so. I really, really do hope so. Where do you start? Well, I mean, to condense it, I guess, the people like us, we're going to eventually have to come up with a name for us, but people like us typically got into this whole thing because somebody shocked the hell out of us after 9/11, maybe an Alex Jones or something like that, and so it was like an alarm clock going off that something in the world was not quite right, and that there's something that needs to be done. A lot of people got stuck in the rat race of nothing can be done, right? And then other people kind of went into the political realm to try to become activists or do something in the political system, myself included. And then there was other people who were like, no, this must transcend the material, and they got into spirituality. But then they got into the rat race of, because don't think that there's not rat race mouse traps in the spiritual area too. There is,
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
And so I was when I was back doing ZenInTheCar.com, I was trying to weave together political activists with spiritual activists, and I felt after 5 years that I had done what I needed to do there, and I was given near the end of ZenInTheCar.com's run, I was given a radio show on a network. And got a very brief look behind the scenes as a host of a network radio show. No offense to this network or any network, but saw how what was really going on behind the quote alternative media, and said, "There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way where nobody has their hand around my throat and the throats of people who are of my kin." Birds of a feather, to say what we really need to say and what people really, really need to hear. And so I believe that you're one of them. Well, I don't believe it, I know it. There are others out there who are trying to move us past fear, move us past hopelessness, helplessness, stagnation, and rat races that you can never get out of psychologically. So I think it's, I'm not one of these guys who believe that you shouldn't look at the negative things that are going on or the problems or the weeds in your garden. No, you should acknowledge them, but I just don't believe that it's really going to be so productive to feed all of your energy into that. Can I curse on this network?
Yes.
Yeah, Chuck is house training me for the network he's on. So,
I know.
I think there's a better way out of all the horse shit, and I don't believe it's difficult. Okay, and I don't believe that it's hard. I believe that it's very simple. It's very easy. It's right in front of everybody's faces, and it's fun. You know what I mean? I just don't. That's just my feelings on it, So I'm actually excited because I have been breaking away from the tethers that have connected me to those who don't see reality or existence or this time period in history the same way, and I feel so much lighter in my own skin. I feel lighter, now that I'm not with these people who are like, well, they're chemtrailing us all the time. Yeah, man, I know they're chemtrailing us. I know that, okay? But, if you educate a generation very quickly, very efficiently, and in a way that they're going to accept it, all of this horse shit can change in less than one generation. We're not on the brink of extinction here, people. We're on the brink of evolution.
I think I think you just hit a very key point, and I'm going to say something that people will probably not agree with, and that will probably cause all kinds of controversy for anybody who's listening to this. I've been researching chemtrails for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have spoken to someone who was supposedly involved in the distribution as a whistleblower. Okay? But one of the things that he kept saying, and I thought was so interesting, is he kept saying, well, in their minds, they're helping. In their minds, they're helping. That's what they kept saying. That's what this guy kept saying during the interview.
What do you think about that?
So I started really researching. And what I found out is that 3 of the main ingredients, if they are dispersed in very small amounts, actually do cause an awakening in the brain, the body, a cellular DNA structure.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's actually, I'm not going to say let's have a parade because we still are a planet of free will and we need more disclosure. But I think that we do need to take a look at all of these bad guys under the bed. Maybe they're really not there, maybe they're not, or maybe they are, but maybe they're there for all these other reasons that we haven't been told, and because it's such a secret, we get to make stuff up.
Oh, okay. So now we're getting on the Illuminati topic very quickly. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Have you done this on your show yet? Your theories or your slow realization to what the Illuminati may be?
Very little, and not as much as I'm probably going to do today.
Let's do it today.
That's what I'm thinking. I've been thinking a lot. I didn't do a show last week. I didn't do a live show last week, and I really believe that I've come to a place of, I'm not going to say that I know what's going on because that would be a kick in my teeth, I think, but I do feel like I have somewhat of a grip on at least this level of the game.
Okay. Very, very cool wording, by the way.
Well, I'm telling you, I have been engrossed in some very heavy dimensional quantum physics. I guess I don't know where else to even go with that because it has so much to do with geometry and a lot of these geometric shapes that have been considered something, but nobody really knows what they are. And then I start, in all this research I've been doing, and this is where all this stuff with the chemtrails and all these different things, it's like there's certain ingredients, there's certain vibrations, there's certain things that are being put out into the planet, and they're being looked at as they're our enemy, but in truth, if we actually break it down, they're being put forth to push us forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Keep going.
So the other thing, it's just like with the GMO foods.
Now, let me ask you a question. So you're having some next level revelations. Did this start before or after all the planets were direct?
Right as.
Right as. Okay.
Right as this is when all of this happened, and I got really sick, Daniel.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people who are in tune got very sick.
Very sick, and I felt like part of it was because I had been bragging for a couple of months about never getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so it knocked me down. I mean, I was in bed for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it. Things changed in my perception as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was brought to my attention at that time that the ones that I thought were protecting me and shielding me and that I had some connection to or whatever were not who I thought they were, and that these elite groups and these other beings and whatever else is going on, it's all such a puppet show that we can't almost even get through the layers to see what's really happening.
Well, you can. I mean, you can, but it's going to demand that you take some of your sacred cows and cut their throat. And if you can do that, then you can kind of get your head around some of this.
Well, and this is the other part of it, I guess. And I'm still trying to kind of pedal push it because it is an extreme difference of opinion than most people are having right now.
Uh-huh.
But when the bottom line is I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there, it is now my belief that the Illuminati are actually the originals and that the hackers have taken this perception of what we consider to be the Illuminati and they're altering the vibrational waves from Saturn, which is really screwing people up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, and all of these different things came to my mind, and as I'm, I practice magic every day, and I do something that's called, these kids are calling it finger tutting now.
That comes from the show, The Magicians.
Right. Okay. Well, that's an old practice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's something that I'm interested in that.
Yeah, and I learned how to do that at a very, very, very young age before I ever practiced anything, but it was with the local gangs in my area. They call it stacking. Okay?
Yes.
Now, they taught me how to do that at a very young. I had no clue they told me the street mythos of it. I was blessed into all the local gangs. And they taught me this finger stacking. And it was later when I started to get into the esoteric and learn about, after I'd read Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, became interested in symbology, after I read Carl Jung and Man and His Symbols.
Yep.
Started studying Freemasonry, where I realized that these finger stacks, these gang signs, are actually rooted in the esoteric.
Oh my God.
Are actually accessing doorways. And, I just finished the... Do what now? Yeah, the Merkaba.
The Merkaba, the actual energies itself. I'll show you this one pattern it's all over the place in memes everywhere, and it actually is showing you how to open up the inner Merkaba.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, and that is, as it dawned on me later, and I was like, oh my God, what I have been doing, and I'm not in a gang, okay? Now, I'm protected by all the local gangs because of, my affiliation, and I didn't ask for it or anything. I don't run drugs or anything. I just have friends who are in gangs. They're people too. It's just that's the path they chose. Right. So, so I would do it for fun. You know what I mean? Just like, I call it finger yoga, and since I'm a writer at a keyboard, it keeps my fingers, very limber. And, anybody who's ever seen me type, I'm extremely fast, like Data from Star Trek fast. So when I started to realize that these symbols, this geometry that I'm creating with my fingers, are actually unlocking doors.
Yeah.
And then I think back on my life at certain points and realize, holy shit. You know, I didn't have the full knowledge then to understand that when I did the Star of David, you know, or the six-pointed star, the five-pointed star, and all that good stuff, the Book of Knowledge, I was accessing things well beyond my comprehension at the time. And
well,
so,
and even, I mean, I'll be honest with you. So what I've been expanding it because you use, okay, so basically the hand, in Wiccan magic, the hand, you can use your hand as a wand or your fingers.
yeah, sure.
Right? And people are like, well, how do they do that? You know, or they think that there's some kind of like there's something about that person that's individual. But if you break it down and you look at the energetic scales and you look at the thumb is Venus, the index finger is Jupiter, I believe. And here's the kicker for me, Daniel, and tell me if this spazzes you out the way it did me. It probably won't, but the middle finger is Saturn.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean,
I'm not so afraid of Saturn as other people are. You know, Saturn.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Saturn, and I get the whole wave of it's a Saturnian cult. You know, I get that, but look, if we take it to the biblical thing, you know, the Bible says, "Is there evil in the land that I have not done it?" saith the Lord. Okay, Saturn has a role as well.
Absolutely.
Has a very important role. And people look at Saturn and they say, "Oh, it's the Grim Reaper. It's death. You know, it's what keeps us trapped." No. Look, it is the Great Reaper. It is the Grim Reaper. But if you look at biblically, who is the Grim Reaper biblically? To a Christian, the Grim Reaper is Christ itself.
Huh.
Right? It says that you know, the angel of the Lord comes down with a sickle in his hand to reap, you know, and to basically get rid of the chaff and the wheat. So the Saturnian thing is not necessarily all bad. It's misunderstood, you know. So
it's coming in a big. See, this is part of my spin out, as I'll be honest with you, because what I figured out, or what I learned, was that the rings around Saturn are actually vibrational. They're not just you know, dust or a creation that circles the planet. They're actually vibrational. Mm-hmm. And if you think about the middle finger, it's not the fuck you, right? It's the sexual. Saturn is actually part of the sexual vibration. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is that's the hack, in my opinion. If you look at our society, where are they targeting the most? Where is the downfall of society in the deepest place? Mm-hmm. It's sexuality.
Yep.
And so to me, it's not about, I don't give a shit who's living on Saturn, and I don't care who's playing with Satan or whatever. I don't care what they're doing. What I care about is that somehow, with this new planet coming into play, Saturn is being intensified, and what it's doing is it's increasing the vibration of our planet. That's that Sherman
resonance field.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is now resting at 36. It has jumped again.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Mother Earth is waking up from a coma. Seriously.
Like, people don't seem to understand that the vibration.
Can I go off on a tangent real quick?
I'd love you to, yes.
Okay, picture this. And there are certain people who are not going to hear us because it's just not their time to hear us. And then there are certain people who are going to hear us because it's the exact moment that they need this information. Okay? Imagine that planets are all conscious and awake and aware, and they're intelligent and they can communicate because they can. And so let's imagine for just a minute that Mother Earth, Gaia, Sophia, whatever you want to call Mother Earth, the matrix, the material, maternal thing that we are allowed to even exist and experience existence in and on, created us, okay, and then took a nap that lasted way longer than she anticipated and left some babysitters, okay, left us in our nursery, okay. with the expectation and the hope that that nursery would tend to us and nurture us and tell us everything was going to be okay, but that wasn't necessarily the case. And the babysitters over time did the opposite and tried to keep us from evolving and growing, and they tried to keep us from being nurtured and said, hey, let's turn this into a sweatshop. Okay? Now, I don't know what your relationship is with your mother. I believe it's probably pretty good. But imagine Mother Earth waking up and finding out that her children were not well taken care of. What do you think her attitude's going to be?
Oh, well,
because I know this, and then I'll back up for a little bit. I know that when I was coming up in grade school, they still had the paddle, and if you dare to touch me, my mother was up there, but this is before the cell phone era, and you had hell coming to you when my mom got up to the school if you even thought about touching her child. So can you imagine Mother Earth, Gaia, Sophia, whatever, is waking up and has found out that her kids have been exploited? What do you think she's doing?
Oh, and look at what's happening. And here's what's so... I think it's fantastic, to be honest with you. I think it's way beyond time that the lower vibrational... I believe that they are dimensional beings. I think that they are I actually think that they are a higher dimensional being, but they are vibrating at a very low level of their dimension. And once this planet starts waking up and once the vibration hits a certain level, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they just disappeared. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it's like there's no way that they can actually vibrate in the existence that's happening now. Because look at what it's doing to the human race. And humans adapt. Humans will evolve.
We already did.
Exactly. It's happening now again.
Okay, so going back to the show The Magicians. All right, and, and not just The Magicians. I've been able to, here lately, I've been able to kind of veg out and relax from a few years of just war. Since 2012, my life has been a spiritual war zone, as have many people. A spiritual war zone. And here recently, I've been able to kind of rest, relax, recharge, become more in tune than I ever have in my entire life, And so a part of that process is, getting on Netflix, okay, and just either exercising alone with no other voices around me, no chaos to deal with, and seeing what's up, what's new in popular culture. And this show, The Magicians, came up. And I'm not one of these people, and I think I've said this with you before, who believes, oh, God, Hollywood is the Illuminati. Oh, they're trying to, well, they are the Illuminati, but they're trying to brain control us, you guys. No, they're not. They're trying to give us answers.
They're trying to show us.
Yeah, and they are, for those with an eye to see. And so this show, The Magicians, come up, and I watch it, and I went, holy shit. There is so much truth to what they're doing in this show that it's going to change things. And I'm not saying it was the catalyst. It's not. It's just another puzzle piece. And so then I start checking out, there's a show on Netflix called Travelers that is extremely esoteric. And if you can get your head around time travel and how it doesn't, it takes technology, but it's biotechnology, not mechanical technology to time travel. And then right now I'm on a show called Sense8 from the people who did The Matrix, so you can only imagine.
Oh. And I'm going to put that down. Wait, Sense8, like sense, like your senses, or?
Yes, SENSE 8, the number 8. This show, and people shit on the Wachowskis all the time, and, oh, their movies are shit. And I don't know what that is, okay? Well, yeah, I do know what it is. It's that the people who are saying that have no clue what the hell they're watching or listening to in the dialogue. None. And
that's intentional. I mean, here's my kick on this is that they have to disclose. See, this is all part of this game. It's all part of this program. It's all part of the thing. They actually have to disclose. But they can do it in a way exactly like what you're talking about. They can put it in movies. They can put it on TV. They can put it on billboards. They can put it all over the place. And if people are walking around in this, zombified state, it doesn't matter, right? It can be right in front of their face, just like, which I know you're probably not going to like to hear this, but it's just like what I feel Trump is doing. He's pulling all the back guys up to the front, and I'm not saying let's give him a parade, that he's doing it to enhance or help America.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just really believes that the American people are so stupid, and basically the world is what he's saying. He's given the whole world a big F-U. Like, look what we've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? But it's looking, but then he'll give a few little pieces.
Let me ask you a question, okay? This is why, and I haven't written it yet, or I hadn't published it yet, because I've just been really busy trying to get the podcast out. But I do have an article coming out called "Why America Needs Trump" from a non-Trump supporter. Okay.
That's interesting. I think I like that, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because remember, I was a Ron Paul guy, so, I don't vote anymore. There's nobody to vote for. So, let me try to, in a condensed fashion, explain what Trump is to the American and global consciousness towards government, okay? Do you remember when Ricky Martin came out? Do you even know who Ricky Martin is?
Singer, right?
He was like a one-hit wonder.
Yes.
Totally polished. Every move he took was airbrushed. Okay, and he did this one song like La Bamba or something, and it drove every girl, and I guess a lot of homosexuals, ape shit crazy. Okay.
Oh yeah, he was a hottie. Yeah, he was like, woo. Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't even remember who this guy was. Okay, if it wasn't for one short conversation I had with an older lady. Okay, keep in mind, just to give you some backstory, there's a mural that hangs in my house and has hung in every house that I've ever lived in because it's a family heirloom that comes from my mom, and it is a huge mural of Elvis Presley. Okay, the king of rock and roll. I'm a huge Elvis fan. All right, love Elvis. Just love Elvis. He's the king of rock and roll. You can't beat Elvis, right? And so his stuff is going to be timeless, okay? One day it'll be called classical music. There's probably planets out there that have created religions around Elvis Presley. He did something that changed everything. So me knowing that, and I'm not, I'm 36 years old, so Elvis was dead way before I even knew anything about music. But I still respect and see what he did, okay? So one day, I'm having a conversation with an elderly lady, or an older lady, shortly around the time that Ricky Martin comes out, and she said, "Oh, have you seen that Ricky Martin? He's fabulous. He's the next Elvis Presley." and of course, typically I'm a polite person. But when she said he's the next Elvis Presley, I said, no, he's not. He's a flash in the pan. He's going to be gone like tomorrow. Okay? And now how do we look at Ricky Martin? He's a meme. He's a funny YouTube, like being rickrolled. And I don't know the guy personally, so I hate it if he's listening, but Ricky Martin, that whole one-hit wonder thing, was a big fireworks show that went out real quick, and now he's a joke. He's a joke. He is a punchline. I doubt
a lot of people even know, like, I doubt that the younger generation even knows who he is.
Yeah.
I don't think that, but
okay,
I think...
Now,
go ahead.
Before we lose it, take that mentality of me and you know who Ricky Martin is. We know pre-Ricky Martin, during Ricky Martin, and then what Ricky Martin is now, which is nothing. He's a joke, okay? Donald Trump is doing that to the political system in this country and in the globe, because now everybody around the world is looking at America, the United States of America, the, quote, most powerful country in the world, land of the free, home of the brave. And what are they seeing? They're seeing that our political system, voting, is a complete sham that has nothing to do with democracy, which I don't even believe in democracy, or I believe it, I don't support it. But it has nothing to do with the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, the Republic. It has nothing to do with freedom and liberty. It has to do with a talent show. It's a video game. It's a game show. And right. So now what the consciousness of this planet is doing is they're going, okay, so the political structures that we've had up until this point in human history are all a joke. Now it's time to look for a new way. So it's good that Trump is our president because he has debunked government. I mean, he really has. And so...
You think he's in control, Daniel?
No. Absolutely not. I think we're in control. I think we're in control with... And how we are in control is... Everybody has this illusion. Well, it's not an illusion. The Illuminati is wealthy. Money is no object to the Illuminati. Okay? But you know what the real currency is? Consciousness. That's why we pay attention to things.
Money is no object to us.
Money is just what you think it is. You can't eat paper. You can't eat rocks. It's your consciousness. It's what you pay attention to. That's why you pay it.
Can't eat gold and silver either.
Right. So
I got an Elvis story, Daniel.
All right.
I remember one time, it was, I don't know, close to 20 years ago, they said that Ed Sullivan had Elvis on his first TV show appearance, and then he was on maybe one or two times after that, and the censors started to get upset because he was
shooting from the waist up.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was just from the chest up. So he couldn't swivel his hips, and he couldn't do his little dance steps or whatever it was, and so he took his finger and did some swiveling around with it, and the women still went crazy.
Oh yeah, it's great. So
another Ricky Martin story too. I remember when Ricky Martin first came out, and a lot of people were saying that he was gay, and it didn't really matter to me because I didn't follow that kind of music, but he adamantly denied being gay, and then I guess here in the last couple of years he's come out, hasn't he?
I don't know.
I think he has, but
I mean, I wasn't Googling it, buddy.
Yeah.
But that's funny, though. But you're right, Steve. I think that's a big thing.
I thought that was a foregone conclusion that he was gay. I mean, so that's why I'm not Googling it.
No, I think that's what a lot of guys, because he was so sexy, guys wanted him to be gay. That's what I think. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Not wanted him to be gay so that they could have him, you know what I mean? But, like, have him be gay so that he was out of the competition kind of thing. You know what I mean? No?
No, really I don't.
But
anyway.
All right, well, let's add Rhonda in, and then she can add a little more confusion. And then you can finish telling us.
Rhonda. Hello, Rhonda.
Hi there. Hello, super big bad man. That's what just come up on my phone.
Oh, I love that. Hello, darling.
Hi there. How are we?
Oh, I am super fabulous as you. And we have Daniel here with us. He was kind of in the middle of telling us something, so I'm going to let him finish, and then we'll kind of jump into what I want the three of us to communicate about. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, what I really wanted to wrap up with on that whole, I guess, past 30 minutes was that the true Illuminati is wealthy beyond our wildest dreams, but the true wealth is the consciousness. Okay, so when I say that we're the ones in control, what I mean is you have unlimited amount of consciousness and attention. Be wise in where you pay that attention, because that's going to create the reality around you and everybody else that you're connected to. I used to tell people back during, the election with Ron Paul when I was a big activist, and look at their social media feeds, and it was nonstop negativity, police state stuff, go get your ammo and your storable foods, and, we all need to be preppers. And I'd be drinking coffee with these guys, and I said, guys, can you just do me a favor, like for 1 week, don't listen to InfoWars. 1 week, don't read an article about a police beating the shit out of a kid. Can you do that for 1 week? Can you deliberately get on Facebook for 1 week and only like and share like recipes or yoga positions or positive stories that you see, and then come back to me a week later and tell me how your entire world has changed? because you're never, ever, ever going to fix anything outside politically or materially. You have to go inside yourself and do it, and then watch it take place on the outside. So that's why I say we are the ones in control. Steve asked if Trump was in control. I laughed. I said, no, we're in control. We're in control with where we're focusing our attention and our consciousness.
Now that takes me into another whole level of things, because I feel that, and please, I want to hear Rhonda after I say this, but I want you to keep this in mind, because I want to hear your opinion about this, Daniel. Since I have been on the radio, and since I've been doing life coaching and sessions and working with people all over the world, there are different times in my life where I truly have and do believe that I was attacked. I think that there have been things that have happened to me that should not have happened in a way to try and deter me. I think that the vibrations of the planets, I think that all kinds of things are being manipulated in a way that we don't really understand, because we're not privy to that information. It's another one of those secrets that are, like you were saying, they have all this capability. They're showing us all of these things through movies, through all of the digestion areas, but they make it fiction. They make it to a point of where it takes the validity away from people like us.
I'd say that's a. I'm sorry, Rhonda. Hey.
No, I want you to kind of, Rhonda. I want to hear Rhonda's opinion on it. I know that her and I've been talking a lot about this, but I'd like to hear what you have to say, Daniel, because I know that, because I do believe that we are in creation, but I also think that what has been done, because of the way that the cellular structure works and because of the way that the emotional holding through the cellular system, I think that they can tag that. And I think that they can bring things to the surface and use the mind, the computer, to run that program.
Yeah. And when we say they, let's be specific when we say they. Okay, this malevolent group of consciousness. Okay, some people call them demons, right? So we're not talking physically. We're talking metaphysically. Okay? Some people call them demons. I tend to lean because I came through Christianity and then into the esoteric, which is the natural way. I identify with Gnosticism very much. It was, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi Library, and the Gnostic Gospels that expanded my awareness. And that doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily expand everybody's awareness. If you live in, say, a part of the world where Christianity is not the predominant gateway, it's going to be a different book, maybe the Kabbalah, okay? Maybe the Talmud. Not the Talmud. You can burn not the Talmud. Sorry. But I like to say this. Ancient texts and current texts of spirituality are like a lock and a key. There's always a lock and there's always a key, okay? For example, the Old Testament, I would say, is the lock. The Kabbalah is the key to that lock. You can understand the Old Testament to a certain degree, but not without the Kabbalah if you want to get into the metaphysical. It unlocks it. It unfolds it. In the New Testament, you can read it just fine. It's going to give you what you need on a spiritual path. When you want to evolve into higher levels, then you're going to need the Gnostic texts, lock and a key. So I don't say, and hey, that pattern, that formula, pick your quote religion, pick your area of the world, pick your text. There's a lock and a key to the Bhagavad Gita. There's a lock and the key to the Quran. There's a lock and a key to the Book of Mormon. This is just the way that I believe. Okay?
Well, I think that it's interesting, the terminology that you're using, considering a lot of the reason that I brought up finger tutting and finger magic and those types of things is because I believe that that's one of the things that they're showing, because in ancient times that was part of how they manipulated things. And to me, I guess I don't really know how to explain that I truly do believe that we have the capabilities of all of these grand things And we have to just hit those locks like you're saying.
Right. What did Jesus say, man? When he was doing his miracles and the people were astonished, what did he say? He said,
same and more.
He said,
right?
you're going to put me, man, you're going to make me look like amateur hour when you guys get what I'm saying. That's what he said.
Well, and this is what gets me about the Bible, I guess, because you and I have gone back and forth with things, and there's a lot, I'll be the first to say that I believe Christ was a pagan. And so I did study Christianity. I do reference the Bible in some ways because I think that there are things that are very clear as far as what direction Jesus meant, not the interpretation that they're trying to shove down people's throats. Though.
Exactly. Well, okay, unequivocally, I can tell you. All right, first let me ask you a question. What's your definition of a pagan?
Well, I guess I'm different. I consider the pagan religion like the ancient original.
All right, what's the difference between polytheism and monotheism?
One is one God and multiple gods, right?
Okay, right. So a pagan would be?
Multiple.
Right. Okay. Pagan could also be both. I'm a monotheistic polytheist. Okay.
I can see that, actually. Well, it kind of depends on the hierarchy and how you see this, right? Because there's the main God, and then there can be his cabinet.
Consciousness is God, okay? And it's everywhere. Anything conscious is God, okay? But you have distinct identities or vessels, clay jars, that house consciousness, that will express it in unique ways. And they go up in vibration and down in vibration and whatnot. That's where you get your angels, your cherubim, your seraphim, your archangels and all of that, and then humans, and then the mineral world, the insect world, the animal world, things like that, right? So if you go to the Bible, you will see in the Old Testament, I think it's in Proverbs, I could look it up if you really want me to, where it talks about us being gods. And then later in the New Testament, when Yeshua or Jesus is walking around and the Sanhedrin's, doing their horse shit, he says, have ye not read? Ye are gods? So if you just took the Bible and you read Yeshua's words, he comes out and says he's a pagan. He acknowledges multiple gods. So exactly. You're not the first person to say that Jesus was a pagan. Jesus was the first person to say he was a pagan.
And I just believe that in everything that is what seems to be always true, and I'm not talking about the readings, the writings, this or that. I'm talking about the air, the wind, the water, the mountains, the things of the planet that are of substance, the elements that he speaks about in a way that is connecting us all. Mm-hmm. And then you start thinking about what's happening and how the energy of the planet is being pushed awake, mm-hmm. right? She's coming out of Om. And so as you're coming out of Om, I think that everybody thinks Om is just like this amazing vibration, which it can be. When you're in chaos, if you can get into that Om state, it's fabulous for you because it regrounds you. But if you stay in Om all the time,
yeah, you're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good.
Exactly right. Like you might as well just float around and not contribute anything, and and not be able to participate in the 3D basically at all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to hear what Rhonda says, and I got to step away for just a second because I'm actually going to grab my Bible, okay?
Oh, good. Okay, so Rhonda, you've been listening to this. Throw it in, girl.
Sorry, I was on mute talking.
You were trying to copy me.
Again. No, I agree with Daniel. And I know, Sherri, you and I have had conversations, but I'm to the point right now where I'm seeing things from a whole different perspective. A lot of us go through life day by day, whole hominid, and a lot of us are visiting different realms and being presented with different things. And this, to me, is another, what's the word I'm looking for? Warfield, so to speak. Enemies visible and invisible. We have both of them. So, a lot of things that we battle within the mind are a part of that. Like we wake up, from a good night's sleep. We figured we had a good night's sleep. But during that sleep, we were attacked and visited. We visited different realms. Okay, so you get up in your morning just like in chaos. Okay, you have these thoughts, these different things coming into your mind. Why does that happen? The subconscious mind arises from the trip that you just had, during your sleep. I mean, I can't, the human language can't explain what I'm trying to explain. But Sherri, I know that you understand a little bit of what I'm saying.
I think a lot of people, if people could understand that every form of reality that we experience is basically that's what I consider the term dimensions. So, well, it's a little more than that, but the sleep is actually a reality of itself. And so a lot of the things that we can't see, if people can understand that, it's like, to me, this is what it's like. It's like you're watching TV and you're on channel 4. Well, when you're on channel 4, you can't see channel 2 or channel 6 or channel 7, right? Unless you switch to that channel. And that's almost like what we're living in. We're on a certain channel, and so that's what we see, and that's what we're experiencing.
All right, I'm back. Just sorry.
Oh, good. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, I didn't hear what you guys were talking about, so keep going.
Well, it's Rhonda and I have both experienced some very interesting things. When I was talking before about being attacked, it's not necessarily just the gang stalking BS that people talk about and deal with. It is on an I can't say it all of a sudden.
Astrophysical.
Thank you.
Astrophysical, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, it's on that level, and metaphysical level. And the thing about that people can say, oh, I doubt that's true. Who has time for that? Again.
Well, let me say this. My name is Daniel. That's my namesake, so I'm a very good interpreter of dreams and visions and whatnot. And I've had visions. I've had out-of-body experiences. You know what I'm saying? And I have, gurus or spiritual leaders, and then I have spiritual followers or students. Everybody does who's spiritual. But every one of my spiritual guides or teachers have told me that when it comes to the topic of metaphysics, what you can do and what you can see, don't talk about it. And I don't know if that's true for your school, but in my path, I have been consistently told by my spiritual elders, don't talk about things like that to those who are outside.
Right, not supposed to.
If they're uninitiated, or and you know when you meet them. It's in the eyes. It's a pull in the third eye. Synchronicity or time slowing down and stopping. Those people are initiated. You can speak about it with them. When I first learned what they call the second language, which is me and this guru or teacher or guide that I had, or the hermit, we were talking about how to change a tire. The room that we were sitting in talking about how to change a tire was filled with people, and that's what they heard. Me and this guy talking about how to change a tire, but that's not what we were talking about. And the only two people in the room who could understand the second language was him and myself. So, I'm not saying, I believe that this knowledge should be out there. And I've taken, and we all have taken a lot of abuse when we have tried to speak about things that we see or have access to those who are uninitiated. And quickly we find out that Jesus was right when he said, don't throw your pearls before swine, lest they turn and rent you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting, and maybe this is the side of me that is not of the highest grace, I don't care. I don't care at all. I throw seeds out, and if people stare at me like deers in the headlights, or they start talking about how crazy I am, or how whatever it is that they want to troll me into, I'm not buying that crap anymore. I don't care if they're too stupid to see what's going on this planet. I'm over it.
Yep, you're in the Illuminati.
Yeah, I keep in it. I'm done.
Before we start the second hour, can I go ahead and throw or drive that last nail in the coffin of if Jesus was a pagan or not?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, because we've got about
9 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I try. Virgo. All right, so I'm going to pull it from the Bible, okay? I'm not going to pull it from any Gnostic text or anything else. This is the Bible, King James, okay? It's John chapter 10, verse 34, starting at 34. It says, Jesus answered them, Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods? If he called them gods, unto whom the word of God came, and the scripture cannot be broken, say ye of him whom the Father has sanctified and sent into the world, thou blasphemous, because I said, I am the Son of God? Basically what Jesus is saying. Man, the Old Testament says there's multiple gods, and you're going to stone me because I said I'm one of them? You silly cunts. That's what he was saying. And
exactly.
and I'm sorry, but if Jesus was alive and walking today, he would have said, you silly cunts. He would have said it. Okay? He was a very sarcastic and snarky guy. Funny guy. Great guy. But when it came to religious bullshit, he was extremely scathing, if you really read it. Okay? That's why I love him as a role model. So he's telling these religious assholes, that, you guys are so small-minded, either that or you're not telling the people the truth. And the truth is, the law, the Old Testament that you guys claim your authority says that there are multiple gods. Okay, so the way I was trained was whenever you see Jesus say, is it not written, or as it is written, you need to go and look it up, right? So where does that reference come from? Okay, now it's going to be Psalm 82. Okay, and this is what Psalm 82 says. It's only 8 verses. So you tell me, after I get done reading this psalm, if the Bible itself teaches paganism. God, capital G, standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly, and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods. And all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Oh, is there any confusion what that's saying?
No.
What's it saying?
I think it's so defined that it's almost to the point of where it's almost questionable as to, I guess, the readings and the type of scripture that is presented in Christianity leaves out so many of the pieces to incorporate it exactly how they want. But again, like you're saying, if you actually go back through and read it, I mean, it's defining basically almost everything that I believe in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see, in Psalm 82, he's chastising, the gods.
Right.
Okay, if you want to know what makes a mighty God, all you have to do is read this verse. The they that we're talking about that have tried to hack us, they used to be mighty gods, but they stepped off the path. And if you want to know how they stepped off the path, it's right here in Psalm 82. It says, how long will you, 1, judge unjustly, and accept the persons of the wicked, okay? Defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk out in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Tells you what the duties of a mighty God is. Defend the fatherless. Get them out of wickedness. Judge justly. Okay? That's how you stay in the courtyard of the righteous, the mighty, that like fist bumps with the Most High God. Okay? When you deviate from that duty, you become one of them.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Right? I'm listening. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
All right. So that is who they are. Whenever you hear people say they are doing this to us, that's who they are. That is who they are. Now, what gives them metaphysical abilities is secret gnosis. That for a period of time they've been able to quarantine into a small group. Okay? But at 2012, December the 21st, 2012, this is just I'm not telling you, I'm not trying to build a fucking church. I'm not your preacher. Okay? I'm telling you from my understanding of what's going on. December the 21st, 2012, we know it wasn't the end of the world, and it was the end of the world in a way, but it was in not just the Mayan calendar. That's horseshit that it was just the Mayan calendar. It was in a lot of stuff. It's a critical day. All right? What my personal belief is that on that day, that the secret gnosis was taken away from the old guard, the nursery attendants, that mommy left us in their care. It was taken away from them, and it was injected to the rest of us, to certain degrees, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, but then it kind of puts me in question as to what's happening now, because if you look at what's going on, it seems like, to use your term, we're getting ready for another injection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, and the reason I say that is because to me it's a veil. It was like the amnesia veil. It's like these veils of ignorance that are handed down, easily through generations, right? If you've got something that is practiced for 3 generations, by the 4th generation, they don't know any difference.
Right.
So that's exactly what they've done in our society, is they've taken out the coding, the secrets of magic.
Mm-hmm.
They've turned it into things that are, and that's where I went with making it irrelevant or making us irrelevant. It wasn't necessarily the things that we're talking about, but it's like I'm watching them doing it in all these different communities. You're taking the flat earthers and the Bigfoot. I mean, you can go down a list of just trying to take people into directions that makes them invalid.
Yeah, but what that is that's a last desperate grasp to to continue to build walls of separation amongst us, because the walls of separation regarding religion have fallen. We're just stumbling over the rubble. Like normally, if the walls were still as strong as they used to be, me and you would not be talking at all. At all.
Well, and what's interesting about it, as all this was going on, a lot of us were, what do you call that? I'm like having issues today talking.
Segregated.
Thank you, Lord. I don't know why I can't speak, but it's almost like, and when we come back from the break, Rhonda can talk a lot about that, because she's pretty much, as I told you before the show, she's been cut off from everything.
Yeah.
I think you've tapped into Porky Pig today or something, Sherri.
Oh, it's ridiculous what I have going on. I don't know. I mean, it is. I do not know what the hell is wrong with me. I should have drank. Just kidding, everybody. Not at all. Okay, so we're going to take a little break, and what we're going to do is, Daniel and Rhonda, we have to mute out because I have some songs I like to play.
I can mute the Skype out.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, and then, so we're going to play a couple of songs so that we can get something to drink, and then when we come back, Rhonda, I'd like to hear about what's kind of been going on with you as far as this separation, because the gang stalking, people coming into your apartment, the things that they don't want you to talk about because it makes you the crazy one, I want to talk a little about that.
Yeah, and Daniel, also, I want to talk to you after the show. I have something to share with you.
Okay.
That you will find very interesting, okay?
Probably so.
Awesome.
Ooh, yeah, we can even talk about some of that on the show because of the whole thing that is going on in Florida, Rhonda.
Yeah,
right? Definitely, that's a question we should ask Daniel. He probably...
What's going on in Florida?
Well, we're not gonna get in and share too much.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll
I'll let you run that, but he would be the one to ask for sure. Okay, so when we come back, we'll tackle that. We'll see y'all in a few. Back to Elemental Evolution here on the People's Internet Radio. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Joining us, Daniel Lewis Crumpton and Rhonda Paulo. I hope that you had tuned in on the first hour, but if not, we're getting ready to rock the second. And I want to just jump right in. We had left off talking about being attacked in certain ways and being separated and being put into situations or maybe having emotional issues where the people who are trying to move forward or trying to see things differently are feeling alone or being attacked in other ways, even financially or legally, or we can go down a list. So, Rhonda, I think that's a great place for you to jump in since you've been experiencing a lot of that.
Oh, there's been so much, Sherri. I mean, just different, but not only in the physical reality. I mean, through different things with my actions, I'm experiencing different realms, so to speak, seeing things like some dude with this crazy hairdo. I'm like, dude, cut your hair. You know what I mean? It's just not normal things, like really seeing things that are just not of this world, experiencing messages. Dream state has been incredible. And, it's sometimes, being human, it's hard to decipher a message from another realm, so to speak, and something is directed towards you for a reason, but sometimes it's very difficult to break that message down and really understand what it means because it's coming from somewhere else. I have been going through severe attack. My email from, Sherri and I have been working together for a long time, and I would contact different guests and very popular guests. It all started with my email being hacked, things getting deleted, me getting locked out of. I mean, when I had an iPhone, I've got over 100 Apple IDs that I couldn't get into, Google accounts, AOL accounts. I went as far as getting an email account in Switzerland. It was protonmail.com because it's an encrypted email site. So if you get hacked, the hacker needs to know the encrypted mailbox password. So there's 2 passwords. I mean, I have been going through stuff that would just totally flip someone and put someone in a rubber room. I mean, for real. There's just been so much. And everywhere I go, it seems like there's just a cement wall that just fell out of the sky that just landed right in front of me, and it's insane. And I'm seeing now with different people who are not human, who are here in this physical reality. I could walk by somebody or be talking to someone and go, whoa, step back. You know what I mean? Because something just isn't right. And it's almost like they get the claws out and they're just ready to just suck you in. You know what I mean? It sounds crazy. It really does sound crazy. But this is the stuff that I've been dealing with. And thank God that I have my mental stability to get me through it. Usually a lot of people who experience things like this often have a mental psychosis of some sort. You know what I mean? I was never diagnosed with anything like that. I have the gift to see things, and people in my family are also gifted with that same gift, and I can talk about it with them, and they're the only ones that I can talk about it with. So it's not something that you can just go out and just talk to your girlfriend from the gym or from wherever and just tell them what's going on, because you can't do that. And Danny, you were saying that also, But the things that I have been going through to be blocked, everything on the computer, I am just not allowed. I'm not allowed to be on the computer. I'm totally being monitored. My phones, they're all monitored. I even have somebody listening into my phone conversations. texts are being watched. I mean, I go to change a password, and they send a verification to your email that you just changed a password, or they send a verification to your phone. I have to be sitting right on top of my phone waiting for that text verification to come through and just delete it, because that's how I defer the hacker. You know, I've been dealing with it for so long. I could hack anybody because I know how now. You know, and that nothing like that interests me. I would never do something like that. But this is the stuff that I've been dealing with, and it's been just brutal. I mean, Sherri knows. I had my whole Facebook page. I was locked out of the page, totally locked out of the page. I contacted Facebook. I sent them proof of my identity. Excuse me. I sent them everything, and they never gave me back my page. I opened up another page. The page was open for one day, and it was disabled. Okay, and I added 5 friends. That was it. So I'm locked out of everything. But this has been my battle. This is what I've been going through. And the kicker is how I'm being monitored, how my phone conversations are being monitored, how, just different, I'm being watched. I'm really being watched. I have the ability to see energy, and I've got this, and Sherri and I have spoken. I'm going to talk about it on the radio because I can't on the show. I've got these green balls of energy that follow me around, and I know when they're around, and I snap a picture, and I always catch one in a picture. It's just odd. It's really odd. And, some of this stuff, I believe, is stuff we've contracted. Okay? So even though these energies or these things are not visible to the human eye in the physical reality, we're constantly being watched. Okay? So not only do we have to deal with all the nuts in the physical world, but we've also got to deal with what's going on in the metaphysical world, because it's there and it's real. Okay? A lot of people talk about, I saw this crazy thing, and I saw this weird figure, and whatever. But that stuff is real, and you know what? A lot of people, you have to really have validation from them on their, what's the word I'm looking for, mental stature, so to speak, to really sit down and listen to somebody who's telling you something like this. Because, like I said, you don't know who has a mental psychosis. You don't know who's really who's crazy, and so forth. But I know, Daniel, you can relate to what I'm saying, and I know, Sherri, you can also. And Stephen, I think that you understand. But the attacking, I'm telling you, I've just been slammed and slapped, and my head's been beat against the cement wall constantly with this stuff. It's just
Rhonda,
insane.
I told you how we can take care of that. I get a couple of cousins, and I don't know if you have brothers or what, but just take care of the old-fashioned way. If you know who this guy is.
Actually, I have a pretty good idea, but I'm not going to go that route, because I can do more harm on a metaphysical level than I can on a physical level.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say, any good lawyer will tell you, never let them see you coming.
Right. And all you have to do is not fear. You can't be afraid, because if you're afraid, it's got you. Okay, so you have to be strong in that way to actually either take care of it, keep it at bay, or do something about it. And I lost my fear a long time ago with things. I really have, because I've experienced so much. It's almost like I'm living on another realm, but I'm here in this physical reality. That my fear is gone now. I see this weird guy with octopus hair, or this octopus figure that's sucking my energy constantly. And it's like, dude, that contract is broke with you. Back off. And then the plane shoot, or a gold ball of energy is tossed, and it goes away for a while, but it always comes back. And I mean, like I said, you can't fight what you can't see. I learned that from somebody who taught me a few good things. And And that's the truth. You truly can't fight what you can't see. And your senses are what is going to help you. Okay? So if you have those 6 senses and the ability to feel and know what's going on, then you can work it. You know, you can really work it. Daniel, I know you know what I'm saying, and Sherri, you do too. You know?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I think that a lot of the things, even with my own indoctrination, has been a trick in a lot of ways, because I'm starting to realize more and more that this reality has so many different dimensional aspects, including the mirror realm, that
don't tell people about the mirror universe.
have you seen the movie Doctor Strange, Daniel?
Motherfucker! Man, I've been reading Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is how I learned how to read, okay? The comics, all right? So, have I seen Doctor Strange? Have I seen Doctor Strange? Shh, I can't believe you asked me that shit.
I did not know. Oh, we're going to have... if I'd have known that, because that's what happened, is I saw that movie and I went back.
I'll tell you what, Sherri, and you know that me and Chuck are real close friends. And Chuck Ocelli, he knows way more and is capable of way more than anybody out there who just listens to him can ever imagine. Okay? Metaphysically. I won't go any further than that. But when I got back from seeing Doctor Strange, me and him sat down over a cup of coffee, and he says, "Well, do you want to talk about it on the radio or something?" And I said, "To tell you the truth, Chuck, me, a person who loves to educate and give people knowledge, I don't even know if I feel comfortable yet talking about how much absolute and hardcore truth Doctor Strange, the movie, gave people. I don't know if some people are going to be responsible with what knowledge is in that fucking movie."
It blew my... So I actually talked about it on his show, and I want you to get him for this, because he didn't poo-poo me at all, but he... Like, after I saw it for like a week, I was freaking out. I mean, I couldn't believe that people weren't seeing it.
Amen.
Yeah, I was just, and still even now, and then all of a sudden this whole thing with Trump and all this stuff happens, and I'm thinking, they just jumped the fucking timeline. They just did it right in front of us. We just did a time jump. This whole, I mean, like, I swear that's what happened.
Well,
go ahead.
Let me, getting back to what we were talking about in the last hour and trying to connect it with what's going on with Rhonda and everything. So we've been in a nursery, people with this authority, or this technology, or magic, whatever you want to call it, have over time stepped off their lines of duty in what they were supposed to be doing with us. Okay? Mommy is waking up. So what we have now with this explosion in pop culture and music and literature of teaching people magic is what's called escalation. Basically, the nursery attendants had a very big switch or belt, and Mommy came in and gave us the same size stick or belt. So now the playing field of the metaphysical chessboard is level.
Yes.
And that's why the masses are being taught. And even if they don't get it on a conscious level, they're subliminally, they are getting the knowledge appropriate to their level of growth in this game. Does that make sense? Like you and me, we're going to go into a theater and watch Doctor Strange, and we're going to get it on so many different levels and be able to put that shit into practical use. Some people going in at their spiritual level of growth are going to go, this is really, it puts a splinter in my mind, but I can't quite put my finger on what this movie is telling me right now. But then later on they'll get it, say when they come across somebody like us.
I want to do what she did, and I just want to, like, to every single person that I run across or whatever that starts, like, looking at me with the deer in the headlights, I want to do exactly what she did to him and just, like...
The ancient one, yeah.
Yeah, when she knocked him out of his body, you know, and, like, he got to see the dimensional, he got to see all the different lifetimes, he got to see everything for, like, however long it was, and then he snaps back in, he's like, holy... You know? Yeah. Amazing.
Well, you can do that. You know.
Oh,
but,
I mean, yeah. I totally. I mean, that's, I think. Why do you think I'm practicing finger tutting and all of these different things? It's like these are, see, if you actually look at some of the figurines that you're using, you're actually, so when you're doing the lines and the squares, I don't know what else you call them, because I actually call them different. I have different terminology for them, but you're actually doing the Merkaba itself. And then when you go into the cross, like you're folding your hands into the prayer, but then it folds out into the diamond, and then you fold into the line. Anyway, that's all showing you the outline of the actual Merkaba. That's the coding. And it's not just your hands. It's like it's showing you the planetary, because each finger, again, represents a planet. It also represents a day of the week. It represents, I mean, there's all of these different things that are so...
But remember, as above, so below, as without, so within. If some of this stuff is like, I got to memorize planets and astronauts, no. Just, man, know thyself. And you will know the worlds and their gods. Know yourself. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, but yes, it is all those things, but it's also simple. And that everything all this stuff is reflecting us on the inside. What we're seeing, basically what is outside of us is the canvas of our consciousness. We're the painter.
So in the chat, he said, a question for the guest. Do we tell the system to politely fuck off or just say fuck off? Wow. I think you should always try and keep your manners, I'm just going to say. But since I don't always practice that, I'm not the one to answer that. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, as an activist, I can tell you, like, as a political activist, you will get what you give in frequency with the, quote, authorities. I've been arrested a bunch of times because I was given a heated speech about, police overreach or, something like that, okay? Or I approached a cop well within my rights, having not done anything, but because of my tone and the vibration that I had was aggressive, that's what I got back, okay? But then again, I've also been very casual and very calm with somebody behind a badge and talked to the person behind that badge as a human fucking being and walked out like roses and formed great relationships, okay?
There you go.
So it's a touch and go thing. It's situational. I still have friends who are in like the court system doing the liberty activist thing, and more power to them, and I respect them. But over time, they've learned that it's ultimately, at the end of the day, the system and the people who support the system behind their badge, their clipboard, their paycheck, they are a human being. They are yearning for what you're yearning for, even if they've buried it under years of indoctrination. It is there. If you could find a way to match frequencies, and the best way I know how to do it is think about yourself when you were in a place in your life that reflected them. Okay, think of sometime where in your life where you were apathetic or whatever it is that they are. Try to evaluate them real quick, and then like a parent would do, speak to them speak to that frequency, and then you'll be amazed at what you get back. You know what I mean? All these cats that were talking about overthrowing the system by violence, man, look what happens when you do that. You can't, like you said one time, Sherri, you can't go to war for peace. You can't fuck for chastity. You just it's going to be a give and take. You have to use your noggin. There is no one solution on how to deal with the system. But honestly, mine is to start laughing at it. Don't take it so seriously. And focus on getting with like-minded people to form something that's more intuitive and more natural than this system that we have,
I think you're right. I think that is a big part of taking a look at what we have going on. And something that was said to me yesterday, I interviewed Max Egan, and he said, the integration and the idea of technology is fabulous.
It is. I don't know why some people are so terrified of it.
Well, because it's been taken in such an extreme that it has created this zombie effect where you have a generation that's so absorbed into the internet that it's almost like, again, becoming a deeper part of the matrix, in my opinion.
It is.
Yeah, and that's the intention, right? Instead of just being a knowledge base or a feeding of information, which is, to me, what the original matrix was set up for. Mm-hmm. Because there has to be some explanation.
Okay, and all of us, we use the matrix, the mythology of the matrix, as a foundation to explain kind of these concepts. Okay.
Right. So
let's take that to its logical conclusion. Okay. Now in our culture, the alternative or the internet media. I'm going to coin that phrase, internet media, not alternative media, internet media. Okay. Whenever we see the word matrix, it typically comes with words like escape the matrix, break the matrix, bring down the matrix, right? It's typically, whenever you see graphics for like podcasts or independent broadcasters and stuff, and they use the word matrix, it's in a negative connotation. But whoa. Let's look at the trilogy of the mythology in a whole. Was the matrix destroyed?
I don't believe so. I mean, I think that I don't really understand what happened, but I think that the Matrix itself was actually part of the original creation to keep things rolling. I use the term Matrix, and in my mind, I'm seeing a computer program because that's what I can relate it to. It may not be anything like that, but it has to be something that runs consistently, like the wind, like the ocean, like...
Science thinks that it's a computer program, too, or billions of programs.
We live in a holographic universe. This is, anybody who doesn't get that already.
A whole bunch of apps.
But
right?
Listen, let me make my point.
Yeah.
Because I smoked a doober, so I don't want to lose track. No, in the series, the Matrix was not destroyed. It was not destroyed. Okay.
Right.
At the end of it, when Neo, the Messiah, sacrifices himself, basically his singular consciousness became the foundation for a brand new matrix in which free will was essential. Because remember the architect, which represents the masculine, and then the oracle, which represents the feminine, intuition. They have a conversation, okay, at the end. And she says, what about the others? And he says, obviously they will be freed. Okay? After the Matrix has been rebooted. So this conversation is profound. One, the Matrix isn't inherently bad. Okay?
Right. I agree with that.
It's created perfectly. Over time, it will, like any computer program, degrade. Do you think it's degrading, or do you think it was hacked? Because I think 2012 was the reboot. But it has to.
What about the hack? Do you think? If you think about what they're talking about, and when Christ came in, and all of these different things, in my opinion, he was trying to show people part of this, how things worked and how that they could access and blah, blah, blah. And so they totally criminalized, and it seems like that is, at least from our history, I could be totally off, but that seems like maybe when the hack initiated.
No, he rebooted it.
He rebooted it.
Just like Neo says when he has his conversation with the architect, when the architect tells him there's more than one, there are 6 ones so far, and Neo has the epiphany. He says either nobody's told me or nobody knows. Nobody knows. Because a Messiah or a Neo or a One or a Jesus or a Siddhartha or a Muhammad, or a Krishna, those are they are the Messiah or reboot agent of the Matrix for their particular time in the evolution of this Earth. All right? Does that make sense? Jesus was a reboot. He was an upgrade in consciousness. He studied the Vedas and the Hindu religion. He studied Buddhism. He studied the Druids. And he had to update or upgrade the language in which that ancient technology or knowledge had been degraded because people just couldn't understand it at the time, he upgraded or rebooted the Matrix. All right, and he tells you that he will be the code, the foundational code for the Matrix for 2,000 years until the time of Aquarius. He says that in the Bible. So logically, you would expect another Neo or another one that would be disseminated into the consciousnesses of everyone to reboot the Matrix, which is what the end of the movie is telling you, is that it was a reboot. And, of course, the architect and the oracle, when they have the conversation, he says, how long do you think this peace will last? And she says, as long as it needs to, or has to. Which would indicate that it's possible that over time, this brand new heaven, brand new earth, brand new matrix that Neo sacrificed his life for to create is eventually, again, going to degrade and need another one. And so we look at the back of the $1 bill, 1776 until 2012, before the all-seeing eye of Horus returns. And it says, until the many become the one on the back of your $1 bill. All right?
Right.
Does that make sense, or am I making any
No,
noises?
it does make sense. No, it does make sense. It kind of still rattles me a little. It's weird because, so I turn on the computer because I want to look up the Matrix movie. Mm-hmm. And just so that I can tag the trailer because I want to watch certain things again later. Anyway, and this is what comes up, and I'm just kind of like, it talks about Mr. Smith.
Sure.
Right? And how basically what it's saying is that he has the ability to enter any body at any time, and of course this often occurs when the Matrix is threatened.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen it happen. And that's where you get reptilian shapeshifters and shit from.
Well, and that's what, I mean, as it goes through, they're talking about the Matrix is programmed into most people in their youth, and because of this, Mr. Smith programming, these people become guardians of the Matrix, protectors of the code, police of the mind control, enforcers of the brainwashing. They don't even know it.
No. Basically, these entities, archons is what a Gnostic would call them, can hack the bioelectric machine of the human body and override consciousness to possess a person for a while, like using them as a puppet. That would be, that's what the Matrix is telling you with the whole Smith concept, that your lower chakras, if you haven't risen your cerebral spinal fluid past your lower chakras, these entities, these Smiths, can lock into your lower chakras and puppet you around for a little bit, and then leave you, and you're like, what the hell happened? Or they are. But then once you're unplugged from the Matrix, like the Bible says, you are unable to be hacked in that way.
So explain that more, because you said that to me the other day, and I thought about that a couple of different times. How the Bible is trying to tell people that they don't have to be, or that they have free will in the program, or that it's, I don't know. Explain that more if you don't mind.
Elaborate real quick so I can...
So basically the concept that I was trying to get was that basically the infiltration of free will is still by choice, even if it's by manipulation. And so what the Bible describes is that will no longer be feasible. It won't be possible. All knowledge will come, and that those, just like when Jesus Christ walked in and found the bankers and everybody with all the money and stuff, and he threw the tables and acted crazy. Well, the chaos is coming now again for that same time, because the vibration is lifting and all shall rise. So we're going to start to see the anchors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. What's the question?
Well, I guess I just wanted confirmation because it's a lot of what I see, but it's when I start to talk to people about a lot of these things, it is a far reach for a lot of people to understand that we are not just one-dimensional beings, that we have the abilities that these...
Okay, can I stop you?
Oh, yeah, please.
This is my opinion of where people like you, me, and Rhonda and Chuck and other people should go. We spend a lot of time sometimes literally saying, but saying vibrationally. Now, I know you think I know that you're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this. We spend a lot of time prefacing to our audience shit that we intuitively know. Like, there's more than 4 dimensions, and I've been there, and I see shit and can interact with shit, and there's extraterrestrials and entities that you can't normally see. We know that. When me and you get off the air, the 3 of us, we don't preface anything, because once you know, you know. Once you've been across the veil and seen what's over there, nobody is going to convince you you're fucking crazy. So,
well, yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get to earlier, is that if people aren't seeing it, if they're not getting it, if they can't understand what I'm trying to say, I feel like it's okay. But I'm not going back into kindergarten for myself, because we're past that.
There you go. So speak to your peer group.
Right.
Start speaking to your peer group. Right? If I were to go on, like right now, if I were to go on Sean Hannity, how long do you think I'm going to last? If I speak to my peer group. If I'm speaking to my peer group, to the people who've seen what I've seen, been where I've been, and know what I know, how long am I going to last on Sean Hannity's show?
I don't know who that is, so...
Okay, Bill O'Reilly. Anybody on mainstream media. If I go on mainstream media and talk to my peer group, what's going to happen?
Oh, yeah, it'll be a big funny, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people make fun of, degrade, because they don't understand it, they don't want to look at it, and they most certainly don't want to take any responsibility for it.
Right. Yep.
And you know what the funny thing is the people that you're trying to explain to have had their own experiences. That's the kicker.
But they've been given other definitions, and I guess that this is why I'm so...
Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not going to be too detailed because, personal reasons. I had an experience with another individual that lasted well over 3 hours, okay, where I had an experience with another person for over 3 hours that witnessed what I witnessed. And I'm talking about the illusion of the hologram, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Star Trek, but they're in the holodeck and somebody throws a stone at the wall and you can see the Matrix for a while. Where from one horizon to the next horizon, a fleet of craft came down, okay, from the skies and lit up the sky in the middle of the night like it was day. And all you heard was home for 3 hours. Now, they came down shortly and then went back up into the clouds and pulsed for the rest of the 3 hours. All right? Saw this with my eyes. Okay? Everything in the house, like an EMP went off. You couldn't even light a lighter for illumination. It was so dark. You could feel entities in the air, but you could not see them. Okay? Grabbed this other person by the hand and said, this is, you're doing this with your consciousness. This is your greatest fear. You have to face your fear. Walked outside of the home, outside with this person, okay? For 3 hours this occurred. And then afterwards, all the lights came back on. There was no sound. There was no, birds were chirping. The wind was blowing. Okay, we both witnessed this for 3 hours. And then when the rubber met the road, and this was brought up in front of a mass amount of people, or a good many people, the other person that experienced this with me denied it to the death. To the death. That they did not see that. Okay? That
they couldn't handle it.
Could not handle it, okay? And now I have a personal letter from this person where after the fact they admit it, but then attribute it to lack of sleep. Lack of sleep for a mutual hallucination of the end of the world.
They have to come up with something because they cannot, if people actually take a hold of the things that we're talking about on the levels that we can go into, and especially experiencing something like that, I mean, honestly and truly, it pretty much destroys every paradigm of this reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you believe to be true, you'll find out is a lie. I mean, that's to me, when you're talking about spaceships and alien life and all of these other things that are going on, you've got other planets. We don't even know what frickin' shape this planet is. Everybody's acting like they know it's a circle, it's flat, it's this, it's that. How many people have actually been up there?
Right.
And how many of them are talking about it?
All right. Well, never mind. I don't want to get into that.
Well, I mean, because it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's like we can't even figure out where to put the sewer stuff, you know, the trash, the things that we're dealing with in the 3D reality of this planet, but yet everybody seems to be so focused on somebody coming to save them.
No, yeah, you look within.
Yeah.
That's the savior, you know, and recently, you know, the topic on other shows have come up of what the name of God is. All right? What's the name of God? What's God's name? Oh, I don't know. What's your name?
I call, you know, when I'm talking about the supreme, the one who wants to say yes, the one who is somehow in power of whatever it is that I don't even freaking understand, I refer to that as the universe. But I know that a lot of people are fine with giving it other definitions, and who am I? You know, I'm whatever people want to call it. It's just a matter of this time. I feel like when I was talking about those anchors, if people will notice in the last probably 2 weeks, maybe it's only been a week, but the emotional levels are rising in people over nothing. They're crying over nothing. They're sad. They're mad. They're feeling all of these lower vibrational emotions. They're just being poured out because of this vibrational shift, because the earth is lifting in vibration, and none of that will be able to stay solid. It has to go away.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know, sifting for gold. You know? It's like
That's a great example. That's a great example because, and that's, you know, one of the things I think that's difficult for people, thank you, is that we don't want to feel bad. It sucks. And so we do a lot of things to avoid it, where a lot of, in my opinion, if you just deal with it head on, you don't deal with it again. And that's important with what's happening now. If people will just deal with what's coming up in them, what they're looking at now, they will be able to live freer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means for everybody, but it will release the stuff, the anchors, like I was talking about, not just for the planet, but for individuals. I truly believe that.
Well, the language, I got finished reading a book by Greg Barton, and he really sums it up in a magnificent way. That the language that the universe understands is emotion. All right? And that can change your DNA. You know, emotion is the language. And he uses a story where he goes to these Buddhists and he asks, you know, the head Buddhist there, he asks a question about when you pray. And the Buddhist says, you have never seen us pray. You know, the music, the incense, the bowls, the positions, all that is to access and exponentiate the inner vibration of feeling, emotion. Okay? And basically, it's, you know, how he explains is that we are like a computer, and the hardware, which is what we see in the material world, is a result of what we type on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So
I so know what you're saying, and this is what. Okay, so I want to throw in there. I know I'm not going to interrupt you completely, but I want to throw in there that, like what we were talking about with the mirror realm and how it is. It's like using DOS instead of using Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're using an old program that is not in judgment. It's like exactly what you're typing. So if you're saying, I want, you're going to get more want. You're going to, you see, I mean, the wording and the way that our structure is, when you're talking about the universe showing up, it's going to show up and say yes, no matter what you're asking, but it is
That's
all
right.
vibration. So if you're going, I really, really, really want a soulmate, I really want that, the universe is going to say, oh, because
you
it's
want
space.
Yeah, keep wanting that shit.
Yeah, this being really, really, really wants that. Let's let him want. So it's like, and that's the same with any aspect. And that's where, when you said pay attention, you have to be in discernment of the attention, because it can go either direction. People think that by flooding it with light and love and this and that, you're still flooding it. It doesn't matter. Energy is not prejudice.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll tell you this, and I'm open about, I'm a recovered addict, recovered alcoholic, and I'll go to any 12-step you want me to. I don't care. There's one of my kind is everywhere. Okay, so I'll go to any of them. But I had a milestone this past Thursday of sobriety. All right. I was in a very, very, very good mood. I've been in a great mood. I've just, if you've been an addict, which chemicals don't make an addict. The need to escape the given reality is what makes an addict. Okay. So There you go. But if you've been an addict and then you've recovered, you can appreciate so many things in life. Little things like sleep cycles, the taste of things, seeing things so clear. You have a greater awareness and appreciation of sobriety than a non-recovered addict, if that makes sense. And and you also have the knowledge that anything that you focus on will manifest itself. Because I got news for you. When there was no resources around me and I wanted a drink would fucking appear. Somehow, a drink would appear.
Yeah.
Now, that taught me after recovering that means I could do it with love, I could do it with peace, I could do it with material things. I could do the same thing. I can focus on something with intense emotion, and it will manifest itself. So, my mom is also a recovered alcoholic, and, so it's been her world to see me go through that ditch, that hell, that dark night of the soul, and then come out on the other side. It makes her day. She says every day that you're sober is the best day. You know what I mean? And she said, that stuff makes you ugly on the inside, but whenever you're sober, everything you touch is perfect. Everything you touch is gold. And so that's what keeps me sober, is that. Well, the other day I had to go get my chips, and she's got COPD, so she can't get out much. And I was like, I wish you could come with me. I'm going to get this milestone chip. And then I just winked at her, and I said, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. I'm going to get 2 chips tonight, right? Hours later, when they call up, the milestone, come and get your chip if you're this many years sober, this many whatever sober. And I went to go get my milestone. The guy accidentally gave me 2 chips. I didn't ask for it.
There you go.
He just handed them to me and didn't even realize it. I got 2 chips. And then I said, tell me it don't work. Tell me it don't work.
Oh, I mean, I see it. I'll be honest with you. And people will make fun of this, and I don't care, but, because I'm a kind of a rough person. I have a very rough personality at times. And so I really, in the last year, I have gotten myself to the point of peace, love, joy is a mantra that goes off in my mind probably still on an average at least 100 times a day. Mm-hmm. And now I'm integrating ease and grace, because I have a tendency to be that bull in the china shop. Mm-hmm. And even though I'm a small person, it's amazing how much trouble and how much chaos I can cause. And it's not always effective. It makes me feel good, I hate to admit, but it is not getting accomplished whatever the goal is. Mm-hmm. And that's taking a look at that judgment of energy and saying, okay, this is like having that passion or that emotion of what it is that you want and what you're seeing. But then also there's something to faith. And I don't want to fall into a religious aspect with this, but like even my grandfather always told me, it's like you really have to imagine yourself turning it over and saying thank you.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you this. I don't think it was. I don't know if I've spoken to you guys about it or not. I know I've spoken about it to several people, but this is something to really expedite your spiritual growth and your ability to manifest. This is something I suggest. I'm not saying you should do it to get into heaven. I'm just saying I did it. It worked for me. Take a vow of silence for a certain period of time. I took one for 30 days. Okay? And when you take that vow and you're serious and you begin to have to learn other means of communication, watch how your universe kind of chills the fuck out because you're not running your mouth. All right? And how many interactions you don't have to get into, how many energetic back and forths you're like, well, I don't even have to, somebody calls you a bitch or whatever. Whenever you're under the vow, you go, I don't even have to respond to that. Watch how your day goes.
Right.
Okay? Because of what you're saying, which is coming from what you're feeling, because the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So it's like if you're not constantly saying, I'm so sad, I'm so sick, I'm so broke, I'm so depressed, don't say that shit for like a week. Don't say anything for like a week. And watch how more connected the outside world and your thoughts really are. I mean, I just suggest doing that because it'll make manifestation more tangible and practical and able to be utilized. It'll make all that better if you do. It did for me. But, you could do it with anything. I think that's where the concept of fasting comes from. It's just taking a major communication area with the universe and then disconnecting it for a while to strengthen the other means of communication.
Well, and I think that you just hit on something big. And I'm a weird eater. I know about all the healthy stuff, and sometimes I really roll it. Mostly, I don't eat a lot. I will drink probably, I at least drink a gallon of water a day. Not trying, just that's what I do. And then either in tea, even if it's not just plain water, I'm drinking a gallon of it a day. And then on top of it, like the aloe vera waters, the coconut waters, the juices, the more that I become in tune with my body and listening, the more that seems to, I don't know, it's like my digestion isn't messed up. I don't have any of the stuff. Now, there are times where I will sit down at night and eat a box of Captain Crunch. I'm not going to lie.
Peanut butter is my favorite.
God, it's like, and they have this big thing, like you walk into the store and it's like, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, Sherri, like they know your name. So it was calling me personally. Anyway, I'll do that kind of stuff for sure. And I don't feel, to be honest, I don't feel bad about it because I truly do believe that we are powerful enough that we put the essence into what we eat. And if I'm sitting there and I'm really enjoying it and it's making me super happy and that's what I'm putting into the food, then that's what it's going to create within me. Mm-hmm. And I believe that. And so whether it's true or not, because that's how my system works, that's what my program is, guess what? That's a big part of this. That's the faith I was talking about, like knowing it. When you ask for something or you want something, you have to be in gratitude like it's already happened.
That's right. And
like they give it to you. And it may not be the way you want it. See, this is the other kick in the ass. Sometimes, because the universe either has a grand sense of humor or a very grand imagination, I'm not sure which, the things that you ask for come in very interesting ways. And so you have, when you're opening yourself up to, in what I call creating the matrix and actually touching in it and being a part of the matrix within the matrix, that's when being in gratitude, not holding on to things and not letting the other side, because there's always both, tag those spots within you that are the anchors, because all it does is intensify the I'm alone, I'm a loser, I have no money, I'm poor. You go down the list of all the suppression that hits people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's them. They think that it's their story, but really it's a piece of that program to keep them in those lower realm vibrations, because that's where the feeding ground is. That's where the harvest is going on.
You got 6 minutes. There's no way I could respond to that in that amount of time. Which
I mean,
means that more like... Yeah, huh?
I kind of rambled, sorry.
No, but you said what needed to be said. So that's actually a wonderful segue, great. Because the three of us or four of us are probably going to talk about this off the air, which, with everyone's consent, will be recorded into a podcast.
That would be actually brilliant. Actually, that would be brilliant. I don't know. Steve, are you hosting Ed tonight?
No, I never host Ed. He does his own.
He does his own because he's fancy pants. Okay, well, we'll discuss that after. But I want to discuss with you possibly doing something tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So, and you too, Rhonda, if you're listening. I think one of the things that's happened to me is I used to be very into the X-Men comics, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like, they were very cool, and I felt like there was a lot of things that, again, were a telltale. So, and I'm weird, and I have these weird things that go on with me, so maybe I felt like, that was my getaway in another
right.
weird.
Without thinking, first instinct, go with your gut. If you had to identify or be one of the characters from X-Men, who would you be? Right off the bat, quick. Who? Storm. Okay, all right.
Although, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing because I probably, I have some of the things that I was born, and maybe enhanced because of my indoctrination, who knows where these things come from in a lot of directions. I always say, well, I was born with it. But then I look back at different things that I was taught, and it's like, when you're taught to start dissolving clouds and that you have control of the elements at like 3 years old, that's also indoctrination.
Yep.
Whether it's truth or not, and that's the base that I'm trying, it's like everyone has their own line. And so we have to take a hold as a community, I guess, or
let me summate what you're saying, because I know we're about to run out of time. All of the keys to unlock your psychology are within your childhood. Okay, go grab them. Unlock your psychology. Go back to your childhood and deal with it, whatever it is. And stop hiding it from people. It happened to everybody. You're not alone.
Just hit it. Yeah.
Go back, get those keys, and then you can come into the kingdom.
Yeah. And it really is about not reliving the same story, because people don't realize until it's kind of put in their face that they really are reliving the childhood traumas, the experiences that they had as children, the dynamic a lot of times that they experienced as children. If they look at what they are living now, they are living a very similar, even if the people have changed, the story's the same.
Hey, look, man, the very act of being born is fucking traumatic. Think about it.
Oh.
Okay. Now, it sucked for a minute, scared the shit out of you for a minute. You had to cry and wail for a minute, but you know what? You were born.
Yeah.
Gotta sign off, Jerry.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening tonight. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Daniel, once again, you rocked it. We'll talk after about maybe doing something tomorrow. Rhonda, I always love hearing your perspective, and thank you for coming on, because I know it puts a lot of controversy on you because of the things that you're going through. So thank you for still showing up. Stephen, as always, you rock.
All right.
Thanks, Sherri.
You guys can find me at downloadedcontent.com. I launched my podcast this week, so check them out.
Oh, I should have said that. Sorry.
Yeah, you should have. But you should have. That's your job. That's your job, monkey.